Hey there, it's Isaac from Powered by Rock to bring the Dreaded Laramie into the spotlight for a few minutes and make them sweat with some on-the-spot questions. Welcome, everyone. Are you guys ready to be put in the spotlight?
Oh, yeah.
I'm already sweaty.
All right. So we were talking about in the main podcast about how you guys are going on tour, but I will ask you guys, and you probably all have different answers for this, but if you could go on tour with any two other bands, which two bands would you tour with? So just pick whoever feels like they should go first and want to go first, go ahead and start, and we'll go around the table here.
I think my
internet crunched everything you just said into 1 second.
Oh, Drew.
So what two bands would you like to tour with?
Oh, okay.
I think my dream two bands to tour with would be Pup and Roswell Kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love.
And you've worked
bands.
with Roswell Kid, obviously, with the recording and producing of your albums and stuff, right?
Yeah, Adam, who plays guitar with that band, is produces our stuff and co-writes it. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So Pup and Roswell Kid. Drew, what about you?
Oh, let's see here. Charlie XCX and Beethoven. I think that'd be a fascinating combo.
Yeah. So Beethoven headlining, obviously, it's at least his hologram anyway.
Yeah. Well, we might be able to resurrect him. I don't know. We could try at least.
So Beethoven Zombie and Charlie XCX and the Dreaded Laramie.
Yeah.
Nice. Zach, what about you?
Next May.
Hell yeah. Controversial. I'm gonna go with Weezer and the Rentals.
Okay. I had a feeling that might become of it. I mean, looking at your wall there and everything.
Well, because Matt Sharp used to be in that band, and then they went through a lawsuit or whatever in the early 2000s, and so I want this to be the show where we're like, oh damn, it's Weezer plus their old bass player plus these new kids.
Plus these guys who
we've
never
heard together.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Sharp is one of my favorite. I think, and I know that Rivers is the driving force behind that band, but Matt Sharp really brought something that made that band so good. And I love the Rentals. Like every album that they've ever done is amazing.
Totally.
Yeah. Cool. Andrew, what about you?
I'll go with St. Vincent for the music and Justin Bieber for the exposure.
Nice. Good idea. I mean, St. Vincent can pull a crowd too, but Justin Bieber can pull a much larger crowd, unfortunately. I like that. It's like it's a marketing scheme and a dream as well put together. All right. So we did, and obviously we just talked about Weezer, but we did talk about you guys' Weezer fandom in the main podcast as well. But I'm just curious. I don't know if all of you guys like Weezer, but the ones of you that do, what would you say is the best Weezer album? You can't pick two. Pinkerton for Zach. Okay.
That's what
I'll go with Pinkerton as well.
Okay. Two for Pinkerton.
Yeah, we did a show what was that, like a month ago now, that was like each band took half of either the Blue Album or Pinkerton. And of course I love both of those records more than anything, but I think that even further, like learning all those songs and then getting to perform them, even further cemented that one for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, can I make a distinction between best and most underrated?
Well, you can say best, and we'll use that as your answer, but then give us your most underrated album as well.
Yeah, it has to be Pinkerton for the best. I hate to just say the same thing, but it's the only correct answer. No pressure, Drew. But Zach's going to agree with me on this. Ratitude is by far the most underrated record.
Interesting. Okay. I would say Maladroit's probably the most underrated, even though it was pretty highly received. But I would say because people don't even talk about it anymore is why I think that it was so underrated. It's like it just came out and then disappeared, and everybody forgot about it.
I was going to say MC and I talk about it a lot, so maybe that's why it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a good album. But yeah. Drew?
I have two criteria. So best songwriting, Blue Album. Best production, White Album.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Well, I was going to say you're all wrong, but at least Drew got the right answer because the Blue Album was actually the best, unfortunately. Pinkerton is right there with it, though. So I actually did a top 100 albums list, and I think Blue Album was number 3 on my entire list after
Wow.
The Wall and Brothers by the Black Keys. So, I mean, that's nothing goes above The Wall. And Black Keys was just slightly better than the Blue Album for me. I loved both of those albums, but if I look at the songs head to head of Pinkerton and Blue Album, I'm like, it's got to be Blue Album. I mean, Say It Ain't So is still probably the best Weezer song that's ever been written. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's that's one way to look at a record, though, like just each song as an atom.
Well, yes, I agree. I mean, the only reason I did that is because I was ranking them, and I had to say, look, here's what we got. What's better, this or that? And I'm like, that. The emotion and time spent on Pinkerton, I'd probably say I spent more time on that album than Blue Album. But I like when I first heard Blue Album, it blew my mind. I was like, this is the greatest band in the world. It's not even close.
and I was going to say too, my favorite Weezer song is on the Blue Album. It's The World Has Turned and Left Me Here. So I mean,
That's
if you
good.
are taking the individual pieces, like they're definitely like triumphs with that one. But,
and their most epic song, Only in Dreams, is on that album, which is absolutely phenomenal. So anyway, enough about Weezer. They've got too much of our airtime already. They're super rich and famous. Why are we talking about them? We're talking about you guys. All right, so let's talk about question number 3. Sometimes being in a band can be frustrating, but what do you guys try to do to maintain a happy band as much as possible? Mushrooms? I'm just kidding.
Pets, belly rubs, treats,
High fives, hugs.
Something that we do that like maintains my sanity a ton as a band is we have especially like as a long distance band, is we have a weekly band phone call every Sunday afternoon where we get to like, we have a running Google Doc of everything that needs to be addressed. And we get to tackle it all and make all our big decisions and just check in with one another once a week. So that is huge. I don't know how any band exists and doesn't like do that kind of thing. It's awesome.
Well, I will say that I'm a huge opponent of virtual meetings and meetings in general, unless it actually is to help create a better situation, right? So my thing is this could have been an email, but yeah.
Yeah, the beauty of the band call is that it avoids me having to send them 1,000 texts every day, which I just do anyway, actually.
Awesome. All right, so what's your favorite, because we talked about this a little bit, but what's your favorite regional band? So Nashville, Kentucky, somewhere in that region. What's your favorite band based on that region? Outside of the Dreaded Laramie, of course. Time to give a shout out to some bands that might be cool, that if you got to play with them, or if you like playing with them, or have played with them, or just love listening to them.
Yeah, man, I really love Ghost Town Remedy.
Okay.
They're becoming very close friends with us, and I'll speak for myself and say too that there's Nordista Freeze. Is somebody that I've been really, really into and been inspired by a lot lately. And I mean, there's zillions others. Like I could keep going, but I'll just keep it with those two for the moment. Popcorn, Drew.
It's really hard to narrow it down because there are so many bands who I'm really grateful that we get to play with and hang out with and stuff, both in Nashville and in Lexington. I think.
Well, don't worry. None of those bands are going to hear this, so don't worry about that. You can name whoever you want. Anybody you leave out won't know it anyway.
The first one that comes to mind, though, when you said that, is Cindy. They're a band, in Lexington that we play with, and it is such a blast playing with them. They're great.
Nice.
Yeah.
MC?
I'm going to say I really love this band from Cincinnati that we have played with a few times, Arlen Gun Club. They're about to release their debut record, which is incredible. They're just like such great musicians and songwriters and performers, and they are super sweet people.
Cool. Andrew, you got one or two?
I mean, Ghost Town Remedy is what I was going to say.
Nice.
I've gotten closer with their drummer Steve, and he's just really easy to talk to about drumming, and that's
Nice.
great.
Yeah, I feel like drummers always get along with other drummers because they're like, yeah, like, oh, I like what you did there. Like you just talk about drums all day. Like I have drums behind me. Like every time I go to a show, all I'm looking at is how good is the drummer. Like I can't hear what anybody's saying anyway, so I can't really listen to the lyrics. For most shows that you go to, you can look at the guitar playing. I've been playing guitar since I was 11, but I'm always fascinated by how that drummer is doing, what the hell he's doing right there. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So oddly enough, and I forgot that I put this actually in here, but I'd mentioned Bill and Ted in the main podcast. Forgot that I put this question in here, but if you could be like Bill and Ted from the movies and write a song that created peace and harmony on Earth, what would the title of that song be?
Where do the hardcore kids go?
Perfect. That's a pretty good answer. I think we could end there.
Awesome.
So that song will be coming out shortly, and I think Russia's going to retreat. Everything's going to be cool back in Europe again, and everything's going to be fine. So we just needed one good song. That's all we needed.
Yeah. Someone remind Putin to pre-save it.
Put it on his playlist. Putin pump up list.
Oh my God.
Maybe a cool down list.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
cool down.
Chill out. Chillax, man. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being here and stepping in the spotlight and answering these hot seat questions. Make sure to go to the show notes below this episode for to get to links to the music and watch our full podcast interview as well. Guys, thank you so much for being here. It's a blast. It's a pleasure speaking to you. Until the next time, guys, rock on.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.